We have with us Varun Khaitan, the co-founder at Urban Company, and we also have with us Anandorup Ghose, who's partner at Deloitte India and looks at this segment pretty carefully as well. Gentlemen, hi, good morning. Good to have you both on the show today. Varun, let me begin by asking you firstly on how things are on ground. Are people still hesitant when it comes to urban company services, or things are getting back to normalcy, you think?
Things actually getting back to normal very rapidly. We are, as of this month, the month of August, going to be doing more business than we did in March of this year, just before the second wave. We are going to be doing more than 2 times what we did in Feb last year, which is just pre-COVID. So consumption had fully come back and doubled post first wave, and is once again back to all-time highs. And we're not even at the festive season yet. So over the next couple of months, this is going to grow only further. So by and large, consumption's fully back. I would say a lot of that is function of our platform as well, because we provide services at home, which people consider to be safer than stepping outside, and a whole host of safety protocols that we follow, including more than 92% of our service partners now being vaccinated.
Sure. Anandarup, if I could come to you over here, just help us understand prima facie the multiplier effect which India's gig economy has and the kind of potential that it has to grow on from here, say in the next 2 to 3 years itself.
I think what you need to look at is, gig economy is a very large definition, right? It's not, first of all, it's not a new thing. It's been there for years, for decades, I suppose. Earlier what we used to call freelance, we're now calling gig. It's just that what has happened fundamentally is that people like Varun and his company have essentially eased out the whole process for both the supply and the demand. You always needed someone to help fix your air conditioner. Now, instead of looking through your contacts, etc., now you have an easier way to access the entire practice system. So I think that is the fundamental principle of ensuring that there is a way in which you can access supply much more easily. You have an assurance of quality, you have an assurance of credibility of the person who's coming into your house, or whatever activity. This company is probably one representation of gig, whatever activity that you're doing. The ease has been a significant increase with technology, and that I think will always make a big difference. It's a question of what kind of workforce will do more of gig going forward. I think when we talk of gig today in India, we're largely talking of one kind of workforce. We are not really going up the value chain in terms of looking at gig for middle management, senior management, pure white collar jobs, etc. There, the gig is still some time to come.
Sure. Varun, if I could come to you, let's talk about employment first. Given that you currently have about 32,000 trained professionals under the umbrella of Urban Company, and please correct me if I've got my stats wrong here, how much more potential do you see for job creation as companies such as you only expand further?
If I talk about ourselves, quite a lot. Our service partner count is actually a direct function of the business. So as the business looks to grow 10 times over the next 2 to 3 years, so will the service partner numbers. I'll just add to what Anandarup said. See, the gig economy, by the specific construct itself, actually unlocks a fair amount of employment, because it introduces flexibility, which is not there in the very traditional 5-6 days a week, 9 to 5 workplace. If we talk about our largest category, which is beauty services, in the salon, women have to be working, sitting there morning to evening, 6 days a week, versus on our platform, your flexibility of how many days to work, which times to work, and especially beauticians who become mothers, want to take the mornings off, want to take certain days off. So flexibility that it provides expands the workforce significantly, expands participation significantly. And that's something we see across our platform. That's just one of the very big benefits that the gig construct brings in compared to the traditional employee construct.
This is Mubina as well joining in. Varun, I would like to ask you about resource availability. I was reading an article about how the demand for especially blue collar workers has already surpassed, even pre-COVID levels. How are you seeing availability of what we say freelance workers or gig workers, blue collar workers? Because, obviously a business like yours, a setup like yours, does need as well an enormous amount of blue collar workers. How are you seeing availability?
I would say it's been in some ways actually better than ever before. See, I won't paint Urban Company with pure blue collar, because we are very much a very skilled work platform. So from beauticians to massage therapists to appliance technicians and painters, these are very, very specific skills versus some more generic gig platforms like driving and delivery. And for each of our specialist skills, Urban Company is actually by far the largest earnings opportunity. So for every skill that you take on the platform, folks on our platform make 1.5 to 2 times more money than they make anywhere else in the country. And that's why we attract the best, and we attract them in fairly large numbers to come to our platform. And I would say from pre-COVID to post-COVID, the interest to join Urban Companies actually grown more than before, because offline service sector has taken quite a beating. Lots of salons have shut down, lots of repair shops have shut down, and individuals who used to work there have now, with urgency, moved to our platform, are very happy, and I don't think are going back.
Exactly. I think that was one of the best parts, right, about Urban Company, that when you have your brick and mortar salons shutting down, the skilled workers working over there did not really lose out completely on a job and your platform. Similar is the case for drivers, etc. Anandorup, this entire economy has grown leaps and bounds thanks to platforms like Urban Company. But if I have to look at it from the regulatory perspective, right now there's no framework as such. Yes, the government did try to have the labor laws passed, which would have something more formal for the gig workers, but that's still not completely past the muster. It's still, skirting the rounds of the North Block. How do you see, do you envisage some sort of a regulatory framework coming into place over here for this entire, these platform-based companies?
Labor code changes have already been approved, and it's a question of when they get implemented. So that will itself, Social Security Code, etc., will itself have a implication on this. And so, I mean, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So it will happen. The bigger issue is that the more regulation you bring into the segment, the more employers have to pay for hiring gigs. So therefore, it's a fine balance, right? How much the increase in costs that you have by increasing regulation will make some parts of the gig economy less attractive from an employment perspective. So let's say if you bring in larger, similar insurance benefits as you would give to an employee, to your gig worker as well. As soon as you do that, the cost benefit comes down marginally. Now, if you want to give PF benefits to gig as well as you do to your normal employee, cost benefit comes down even further, and so on and so forth. So regulation is important because fundamentally, and I'm sure Varun would agree, fundamentally the biggest challenge in India has always been to ensure that a person gets paid for the activity that the person performs. The payment cycles can be anything, like particularly in a formal sector as well. Payment cycles could be very, very unsustainable. So the idea is that for it to happen in a structured manner, regulation is important. But regulation, so long as it does not include and increase the cost of ownership or cost of managing gigs for companies, I think that's the fine line, really.
So Varun, I'm sure you've read through the social security codes that have been introduced. It's just a question of when, like Anandorup did mention. How do you see it increasing the cost of employing gig, once it's implemented?
In the current format, I actually think it's a very positive thing because India will be one of the very, very few countries to actually legitimize gig in a very formal way. And I think that will itself bring a huge boost to the gig economy. From right now being sort of semi-formal part of the economy to actually being a formal recognized part of the economy. I think it'll increase trust from the side of consumers and increase a lot more participation from workers. Of course, also make platforms more responsible in areas if they are not. On the cost side, I think we've personally been fairly involved with the government in some of this drafting. It's actually been a public-private joint effort. So I think the right thought process is there to keep the costs in a way that platforms can actually bear it while ensuring good livelihood for the gig workers. So I don't think I'm concerned.
Okay, Varun and Anandorup, thank you both of you for taking the time out and speaking with us today. Good to get in that insight.
Thank you.